The buzz or the anticipation for this show has been greater than any we have ever done in the past. So the fans are avid, they are willing to drive, the costumes are gorgeous, and the whole exhibition really focuses on placing those costumes within their historical context and then bringing them to life. The Paine Art Center and Gardens in Oshkosh is an English-style country estate that was built by Nathan and Jessie Kimberly Paine in the 1920s, and we have been open to the public since 1948 as an art museum, historic estate, and botanical garden. Summer 2015 at the Paine, we are featuring Dressing Downton, Changing Fashion for Changing Times. And it's a fantastic exhibition of 36 costumes from the period drama Downton Abbey, which is a PBS Masterpiece series. It's put together by Exhibits Development Group out of St. Paul, Minnesota, and they have worked with Cosprop, which is the costume house in London that provides many of the costumes for Downton Abbey. We have 36 costumes from seasons 1 through 4 of the television series, and it shows fashions and how they changed from 1912, when the series began with the sinking of the Titanic, through World War I and into the 1920s and the Jazz Age. When visitors enter the exhibition, they enter through the main gallery first, and in the main gallery we have about a third of the 36 costumes on view, and they are accompanied by beautiful large-scale film still photo murals. So they show the scene in which the costume was worn by the actor, and visitors can go through the different costumes. They're also accompanied by signs which tell the importance of the fashion, the importance of the costume, or the scene that it was worn in. And they really are fantastic accompaniments that bring all of these scenes back to life for the avid viewer of Downton Abbey. And then once they leave the main gallery, they will visit the period rooms of the Paine mansion. And in all of the period rooms, there are costumes. The mansion was never lived in by the Paine family, so it's the first time really the rooms have come to life. They now have inhabitants, and the costume placements within the period rooms were chosen for a reason. They complement the decor or the purpose of the room, and so it's a really fun way to walk through and envision the Paine mansion as if it were Highclere Castle and the fictional Downton Abbey. Viewers can really get up close and see all of that amazing handwork that is done for these costumes. So the lace, the embroidery, the beadwork, it's all hand-sewn details. So you can actually look and linger rather than just trying to catch a 1-second frame on TV. The fashions in Downton Abbey in seasons 1 through 4 go through a dramatic shift. What was happening between 1912 and the 1920s in terms of fashion and hemlines and silhouettes. You go from that Edwardian period and very formal and ornate, and then World War I occurs, 1914 to 1918, and it lessens the formality of the clothing worn by these aristocratic families. The Crawley daughters in the series, they were, the daughters of the Earl of Grantham, yet they're going to work during World War I. Sybil is a nurse, and Downton Abbey becomes an infirmary for wounded soldiers, so she works as a nurse, and you see that costume. You also see Lady Edith, who worked as a land girl, helping some of the tenant farmers on the estate, and you see her outfit and her wonderful bicycle. And you also see a shortening of hemlines starting to come up. So there's a lot of change that takes place, and then by the time you get into the 1920s, the silhouette has completely transformed. You either have a dropped waist or no waistline at all. It's a completely straight silhouette with a boyish look. Then you get to the flapper period, and it's a lot more bare and exposed. You're showing a lot more ankle and lower leg, and also the arms. So it's just a greater freedom and independence for the time period. My favorite character is the one played by Maggie Smith, the Dowager Countess, Lady Violet. This lilac dress is worn during her kind of mid-range mourning period after her relatives had perished in the sinking of the Titanic. It's very traditional, it's very Edwardian. It has the bustle and then the S shape of the corset. It really captures the essence of her character. We have very fine clothing worn by the men of the house, Matthew Crawley and the Earl of Grantham. White tie dinnerware. We also have military costumes. They were based on historical reference material. Also hunting outfits and outfits used for leisure, walking and hiking on the estate, and they're in fine country tweeds. We have the downstairs staff represented by 3 costumes in the exhibition. We have a footman in the dining room, which is very appropriate. We also have in our upstairs dressing room, which would have been Mrs. Paine's dressing room, we have on view a beautiful evening gown worn by Lady Mary Crawley, and then the costume of her lady's maid, Anna, who's one of the most beloved characters. Her maid's costume is shown, and she's actually dressing Mary in the dressing room. We also have the character of Mrs. Hughes, the housekeeper, and we have that costume on view in our own servants' quarters. We never had a staff at the Paine mansion since it was never inhabited. Mrs. Hughes is our first servant at the Paine mansion. We have her set up with a desk in the back servants' hallway. It's a real variety that you can see in the exhibition, both with men's costumes and women's. The props are a really important aspect so that it's not just a rigid mannequin in a costume. They really do make it more real for the viewer and are a terrific enhancement. We have 5 costumes on view in the Great Hall, and the room itself is a magnificent prop for the costumes. We have our Persian silk rug out, we have our grand piano out. Those characters all look like they're having a great party in the middle of our Great Hall. The Paine is very excited to be the only Wisconsin venue for this traveling exhibition. When you're having an exhibition that extends beyond just the main gallery and goes into the rooms, viewers have a much greater appreciation for the settings and how it all fits together in a cohesive experience.